Okay, today's tip of the day. Sales is not the same as marketing. Just had a meeting with a client who's doing really great creative work, but not enough people are hiring them. So here's the deal. Marketing is what gets you seen. Sales is what gets you chosen. Marketing is about reaching the masses, getting leads, creating awareness, maybe automating some touch points. But sales is personal. It's about building trust, asking the right questions, understanding your client's goals and pain points, and positioning you as a solution. When you're going into a potential sales meeting with a prospective client, really what you're the primary things you're trying to understand are those goals and pain points, and how you can fit into their story as a solution to those pain points. But you really need to understand those first. Um, and if you're not closing deals, you might not need better marketing. Maybe you just need better conversation. So it's very personal. It's about building that relationship, building trust. Um, And the more that they can see that you're understanding their goals and pain points, um, and the more that they're getting a sense of your vibe and they're getting to know you, um, you know, all the fancy graphics in the world, the fancy website, the logo, the fancy one pager doesn't matter at the end of the day. You know, what are you going to do and say to get them to how can you earn their trust enough where they're willing to give you their credit card information, right? Um, and also understanding like you're going to need multiple touch points. Just walking into a store and saying, "Hey, we got this amazing offer for you." They just met you; they don't know who you are, um, and you're over there asking for money. So thinking about it in terms of like multiple touch points, and that's similar to the marketing concept that I think it's you need to someone needs to be exposed to your message like 7 times or something before they actually take action. It's because they're building familiarity, awareness, and trust um, in you before they're actually willing to make any sort of purchase. It's not always 7 times, but that's the principle that they teach you in marketing school. So same concept in sales. Like you have to know that there has to be sort of a user journey, a process where they get to know you. They get to first be aware that you exist and your company brand exists, uh, and start to learn about your offerings, and then to be able to see themselves in what you're putting out there, so that um, they know that you know we have awareness of their goals and pain points, and we can then show them how our offering will get them closer to achieving their goals that will address their pain points. So it's all about that personal connection. So maybe like a first step is not just coming in guns blazing, walking into the store and making a sales pitch. Maybe the first step is dropping off a handwritten letter, um, with a one pager, so that you know those cold emails, we all get them all the time, and no one reads them. I hit delete very quickly when I get them, and so it's like, how do we cut through the noise? Well, it's that personal touch. Like personalize your pitch. Um, uh, and I'm a big fan of handwritten notes, because it's tangible. It's something you can touch and feel, and it's extremely personal to show someone your handwriting, right? And it's like how many emails, cold email outreach do you actually read versus, haven't you read every single handwritten letter that anyone's ever sent you, right? So that's a way to cut through the noise and create sort of this personal touch. But that alone will not get you the sale. It's all about the follow up, right? So 2 to 3 days later, then you come in and hope that you can connect with the owner or the manager or whatever, and reference what you dropped off. And then you start asking a lot of questions to try to get at what are understanding those goals and pain points. So in this specific example with my client, we did talk about the difference between sales and marketing, and how, marketing is you're talking to the masses, but really what you're trying to get is a list of hot leads. And then you send that to the sales folks, or if you're a solopreneur, you switch hats into your sales hat, and then you're like, and then you bring sales tactics into the equation, and you try to build that personal touch. So marketing is very broad, right? And it's great for generating basic awareness. And then, if you're automating correctly, and if you're tracking, maybe you have a pixel set up, you're able to retarget and all of that stuff with the marketing. But you're ultimately trying to get them to take an action. And sometimes all that marketing, all you end up with, your conversion, right, is basically getting you a hot list of people who have demonstrated that they're very interested in what you've been putting out there. But maybe you're not getting the sale yet. And but then on the sales side, you now have this list of real people who have demonstrated by clicking on the link or signing up for the thing, completing the quiz or whatever. You have a list of people who have demonstrated in real ways that they're interested, and then to actually get the sale, you have to then reach out on a personal level. So understanding the two is, I think, really important. Okay, so for this client, I put together a little sales strategy guide, and a very simple, just sales tracking spreadsheet. So just to get them rolling, right? So first off, who are what's your leads list that you're operating from? There is a directory of local businesses in the area, and the nature of this client, their clientele will be local. It's not kind of as much of a virtual business. They're a media company that will go out and shoot with actual cameras at a brick and mortar business, and so their target audience will be very localized. Um, and so, and maybe they don't need as much marketing per se to get a lead list. They can just kind of use this directory. And so the first step is, going through that directory and trying to identify who your top targets are. I'm offering them this framework on who to kind of look out for, and then build a list of that first 100 top leads across these categories. And those categories are going to be more likely to convert or be interested in the offerings. Now, the low-hanging fruit here, you look for places with strong online reviews but weak video presence. Check their socials for missed opportunities, like a menu with no video, a sterile feed, or no personality. I really don't think they'll have any problem finding businesses that meet this criteria. Then you got the high touch outreach strategy. So I mentioned the handwritten note, that personal touch, building trust. Here's some sample text that they can really use that as a starting point, and that they can customize, and then leave their one pager behind. as part of that in that envelope. Then the follow-up visits and script. So plan to revisit in person 2 to 3 days after the dropping the note. Here's a little kind of elevator pitch, but really you're just going in trying to build a connection. Um, just be friendly and curious, right? Ask a lot of questions. Again, you're trying to understand their goals and pain points. And then it's like, and also do a little research before you go in there. Like maybe look at their socials, at their website, and see what their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are. And then you can come in with ideas. You're not just saying, hey, we do this and that. It's more like, hey, we do this and that, and this is how I think we can really help you achieve this goal or address that pain point, in specifics. Um, Third part is the offer. So, what's the actual package you're offering? You have to get that nailed down. Here's some upsells as well. Call to action. Let's get something filmed this month. Here's a weekly rhythm, some bonus tools, and yeah. And then I put together very rudimentary. I mean, it's a spreadsheet, but it's basically a low tech CRM. But track all of your outreach. Um, and this way as I'm coaching them, I can also look and see what their progress is like. Um, and yeah, pretty simple, straightforward, enough to get them started, low hanging fruit. Um, and I think there's a lot of opportunity before them. They just need to start the outreach. And I think they could see some real revenue inflow, um, and I think relatively quickly. I'll keep you all up to date on how that's going, but that's my tip, my thought for today. Have a good one. This is Ben at Lighter Media. Remember, everyone's got a story to tell. Look us up at lightair.media, and I'll see you next time.